Welcome to Unlocking the Truth, another podcast by Dr. Leslie Phillips.
Hello everyone, welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie. My name's Dr. Leslie Phillips and I will be your host for the next hour. I'm joined as usual in the studio by Corey.
Hello everyone.
And if you're a regular listener, you know that Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show. And we focus on metaphysics and spirituality. Every week we have a different topic. And then we open the phone lines for you to join in the chat, to also ask your questions and receive an intuitive insight.
Yay.
Yay!
Just a quick question before we get started. Who's your friend?
I have a yellow chicken hanging from my microphone, and I don't know who he is. There's like this fluffy yellow chicken that somebody's put on the microphone. I think it's Johnny K because he's laughing. Yes, it's the funky chicken. Yeah. So tonight's topic, Corey, I thought we would talk about time. Time, the illusion of time, the perception of time, and taking control of your personal time machine of the mind.
Yes. Actually, it's a physical time machine.
Is it?
Yeah, it actually is.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's like, our friend here in the studio, Aaron, who's going to Toronto this week. So he'll go to the airplane, and he'll stand at the airplane, and then in no time at all, he'll be in Toronto, and it'll like it never happened.
Uh-huh.
And it'll be in the blink of an eye.
I see, in the blink of an eye. Well, what gave me the idea for this subject is one of my students in my class, Unlock Your Intuition, sent me an email today, and she said, I listened to this podcast by this man from England. Do you know him?
We know everybody in England.
There's only 54 million people, but anyway, I looked at his website and he had a course on time, and his name was Tom Evans, and he's saying time is malleable and stretchable. By changing the speed and nature of your thoughts, you will find you can get everything done in a fraction of the time and with more ease and less effort. When you live timefully, you change your relationship with time. Experience how to create as much time as you need and how to ensure everything turns up at just the right time. Develop a new relationship with time, elongate your personal time and develop a new awareness of your thoughts and get more time back into your life. So I thought that he had some pretty cool ideas, and so let's start with, where does our concept of time come from? We are so governed by time in our lives, aren't we? We wake up to the alarm clock. We say, well, we've got to have breakfast at this time, got to be at work at that time, got to have lunch at that time, and it from the moment we are born to the moment we die, we're governed by the clock, but where does it come from? And of course, it's kind of an obvious answer, which is, well, the planet we're living on is like a giant clock. It's like a giant clock face. Time comes from the rotation of the Earth around the sun and with respect to the moon. And so that's what governs. That's what gives us the concept of time, the concept of a day, the concept of a year. And then all the rest of it is man-made calendrical systems that we've superimposed onto that, which over time and in different cultures have been different. So I believe we follow what's called the Gregorian calendar, And then we've got this time shift thing that we impose that happens between summertime and winter time, which is ridiculous. But the Mayans had a different calendar, the Aztecs had a different calendar, and I believe even today, some of the Middle Eastern countries have a different calendar than the Gregorian calendar. I always remember when I lived in London and I was on the bus, and the inspector got on and he was asking to see people's tickets, and there was this grown woman who had bought a child's ticket, and the inspector said, well, no, you have to pay full fare, and she said, well, I'm only 13. And according to her calendar, she was only 13, and according to her birth certificate, she was, but not according to the way, if she was counting by the Gregorian calendar. So, our concept of time is superimposed. We superimpose it ourselves, and actually we've lost our connection in a way with the natural cycles of time because of that. That the man-made calendar has thrown us out of sync with some of the natural cycles. I'm sure that if we went back to caveman days, Paleolithic days, or whatever, people would probably be waking up and rising with sunup.
You don't have to go that far back. You just go to when time really just came in like the 12th, 13th century. Prior to that, the farmers would wake up with the sun and go to bed with the sun.
It makes sense to me, and I think that is the way our internal clock works, because we all have an internal body clock. Think about it. Think about all the different ways that your body has a rhythm. Anything, from your breath. Your breath is a natural clock. There's a natural rhythm to your breath, your heartbeat as well. And of course, the biorhythms and the circadian rhythms, your sleep-wake cycle, your hormonal cycles, your body clock. And all of these things are, in a way, operating through time and counting time. How many beats of the heart in a lifetime, in a minute, and so on. Next week we might continue on with this theme, because another one of my students in the same class, we had a bunch of the students that were waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and she said, well, have you ever looked at the Chinese medicine body clock? And we all said no. But in traditional Chinese medicine, there is a natural cycle for the organs in your body, and how. So, for example, I think between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning, it's the liver. Between midnight and 1 o'clock, it's the gallbladder. I might be getting this wrong, but I hope that's kind of cool and kind of interesting. So, but our body, suffice it to say, our body has a natural rhythm that we override. We override the natural rhythm of the body in some ways. Now, neuroscientists have been studying our internal clock, and one of these things that this chap Tom Evans said is that neuroscientists have said that the mind goes beyond the brain, and that the heart has a kind of a mind and the gut has a kind of a mind. And both the heart, the gut, and the brain all have a huge influence over what we think and feel. And each of them operates to a different clock, to a different cycle, kind of like what the Chinese medicine is saying. And also, the left brain and the right brain perceive time differently. And I think if you spend a minute to pause on that statement, just think when you're doing something really creative like art or music, we get immersed in the moment. Time ceases to exist. We don't notice the passage of time because we're just stepping deeply into the moment. Whereas if we're operating more from what's called the right brain, which is more of a, intellectual, logical, get things done, then we have a really strong concept of time and time passing, and am I achieving everything that I need to achieve within this time frame that I've set for myself to do it. So that's kind of cool and interesting.
Well, even if you look at experiences that you have, the mind actually perceives experience before, well, the internal mind, the non, I don't like to use the word the unconscious mind because it's not unconscious.
How about the non-physical and physical perception?
Yeah, the non-physical. So when something occurs, your mind actually sees that within itself, and then you consciously become aware of it, and the reaction begins before you even become aware of.
Right.
Consciously aware of what's happening.
Before it registers in your brain.
So time really, even in our own concept of time, it's not as realistic as we think it is.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So on changing topics, not topics, but another point
about pizza now?
No, another point about time is, you've got the time when you're awake and you've got the time when you're asleep. And so one of the things this guy was talking about, and I completely agree, is you can use the hours when you're asleep to be creative, to increase your productivity. You can program your dreams, train yourself to remember your astral travels, and this gives a massive boost to your creative potential. And a lot of famous scientists, including Albert Einstein, who developed the theory of relativity and studied concepts about time and everything, his inspiration came not when he was awake, but when he was asleep. So sleepy time, the sleep-wake cycle, and how you can use that to stretch out the time that you have available. So you're not just using your waking moments. And then, talking about being efficient and effective, there are so many things that we do that steal away our time, aren't they? Things that suck time. So,
I disagree.
Well, no, hear me out. I would say, and I usually have a different way of explaining this, but I'm just going with the theme. But say you're sitting at your computer and you want to Google something, and you Google it, and you get lost in the internet for hours, and you come out of that haze of swimming around in the internet, and it's stolen your time. You probably haven't been effective, and you haven't been efficient. You weren't grounded, and it stole some of your time. You could have been more efficient and more effective. This week I discovered this great tool called the tomato clock. And if you Google tomato clock, what it does is it times 25 minutes. So if you've got some task that you have to do, you click it on, it goes off after 25 minutes, and then you take a break. And it actually helps solve that problem of getting stuck in a task and not being as alert and acute with what you're doing, with not being as focused. And then, of course, that helps you grab some me time.
I have to go back now, because I disagree.
Go ahead.
Do you have to be on? And when I mean on, do you have to be exactly on task all the time?
No.
I don't think so. I think what somebody told me many years ago is, if you're enjoying doing something, it's never a waste of time, number one.
Sometimes, though, we're spending time doing something we're not enjoying, and we're forcing ourselves, aren't we?
Well, then don't do it.
So I don't think we're disagreeing, because the next thing that I was going to go on to talk about is carving out me time. Time to do what you enjoy.
So me time! You never walk away from yourself, do you?
Think about all those people in their 9-to-5 jobs who are not enjoying what they're doing.
But they're still there. It's still them time.
So it's just a turn of phrase, Corey, me time. Just a turn of phrase.
I know.
You know what I mean by it.
I understand what you mean, but words are everything, right?
So,
go ahead.
Grab some me time. It's not a luxury, but it is essential to carve out time for yourself. To not constantly be switched on, right? But to carve out time just to reset your own clock. And continuing on this journey through time, a little anecdote. I used to go to a sort of modern day mystery school across the border in the United States in Everett. And I went every other weekend for about 4 or 5 years. And I had to be there by about 9:30. And it didn't matter what time I got up, whether I was, within a range, whether, I overslept and got up late, I was always on time. And I used to have this thing that I did, which was, I don't really know what you call it, but it kind of bending time, stretching time, so that, even when I would look at the time that I left and calculate how long it took to get there, it would seem impossible that I could get there on time. But I always did.
I've seen you drive.
I always got there on time, and I never got pulled over for speeding either. In all
because they couldn't catch you.
So, it is possible to play with time. It is.
Definitely.
I've done it myself.
So have I.
And what else can we say about time? There's that other groove you can get into. Some people call it synchronicity, where you're always in the right place at the right time, and everything is running in an effortless way. It just seems like people and places and things appear in your life just at the right time, called synchronicity. And apparently it's possible to consciously fit yourself into that synchronistic groove. And so that the right serendipities arrive at the perfect time for you. And that this is another way of playing with time.
Someone once told me that life can be like, life is like a jet stream. And when you're flying, and you can be in the jet stream, or you could fall out of the jet stream, and then you have a lot of turbulence and everything. But when you're in that jet stream, everything is just perfectly aligned with where you're going.
Yeah.
Everything happens in the perfect time.
It's called going with the flow and the river of life. It's the same concept.
Yeah, I think so.
Same concept, yeah. All right. Now time travel. Now, we actually talk about this in the show, from time to time, about how your physical body can only be in present time, but how you can travel in your mind, or you can travel as spirit into the past and into the future. And usually when you do that, your body gets bothered, because if you go in the past, it can't go back and change anything, so it might get depressed. And if you go into the future, it gets afraid because it can't go into the future. But there's another aspect to this time travel idea, which is, you can tune in to or connect with future versions of yourself and communicate with future versions of yourself that are wiser and have more experience than you do, and receive insights and flashes of creativity and guidance from that future self through time. That's another thing that I've actually done as well, and it's pretty cool. It sort of puts you on an accelerated timeline. Okay, now, another thing that I read that this guy was saying, and I must say I don't quite understand how this one is, that you can get groups of people in sync in terms of their hearts, guts, and minds, so that as a group you can get stuff done faster, is one of the things he said. So, there you go. A journey through time. Well,
interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's time for some messages, and then we'll be back and taking your calls. Hello, welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie. My name is Dr. Leslie Phillips, and I have an important announcement from Johnny K. Apparently this chicken on the microphone is not a chicken, it's a duck. And it's important that people know that Johnny K has placed a duck on the microphone, because he apparently likes ducks and is famous for his love of ducks. And this duck poops peach-smelling liquid that apparently sanitizes your hands.
Very strong.
All right. Well, now that I've made that important announcement, I'll read out the phone number again, which is 604-504-7441, extension 4142. 604-504-7441, extension 4142. And this is the time in the show where you can phone us up and join in the discussion. If you want to talk about time and time travel, maybe you're a Time Lord like Doctor Who and you'd like to share your experiences with us. But otherwise, you can phone up and ask your questions and receive an intuitive insight. So in the absence of a caller, Corey, do we have somebody written one in?
Yes, this is from Lana. Lana says, my friend, someone I was recently seeing for a short period of time, is bipolar and does not want to go on medication. How can you help him on his journey? And does it look like he's ever going to receive help specifically for this condition?
Okay, let's take a look at this chap.
What can you do?
Yeah. Okay, Lana, well, let's take a look at your friend for you and your relationship with your friend, because it's obviously you're the one who's asking the question. Oh, I usually take a big deep breath in before I go into trance, and now I'm smelling Johnny K's duck. Okay, so the phone's going, but I'll do my best to answer this question. Okay, yeah, so what we might do is go back to Lana's question after this caller. So, yeah, Corey, you can pass that phone call through. Here we go, listeners. Hello.
Hi there. My name is Teresa. I called about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was about my addiction with smoking.
Yeah.
And you had talked about how it was difficult for me to stay quit because I've been used to sort of poison from a parent figure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess my question was if you could elaborate on how I could deal with that or how I could address that.
Okay. I will. I'll take a look at you and your energy, but in general with all of these things, it's finding a way that you can deprogram yourself from the influence of that person. And so, okay, let me take a look.
Sure. I did start counseling about it. Yeah. And I thought you might have another insight.
Sure. Well, I'll take a look. Well, how many counseling sessions have you had?
Just one. Today was the first one.
it looks like it actually had a positive influence on you, actually.
Okay.
Anyway, let's take a look at whether it's the counselling you had today or the information from 3 weeks ago, but I am seeing a shift, and it looks like you've realised you don't have to take in the poison. Because you're showing me sort of standing there with your lips tightly clamped shut. And it's like before you didn't realise you actually had a choice, and now you're realising that you have got a choice. Okay. You don't have to take in the poison. And when you were a child, you didn't have a choice when you were a young child, because those were the caregivers, and you weren't able to looking after yourself. And so it looks like part of the solution has had to do with bringing that energy into present time and realizing, you know what, I'm not that child anymore. I have a choice. I don't have to take the poison in. And so that's a big part of it, present timing the energy. Because while you're stuck in that past time energy, it's harder to let it go, but when you get in present time with it, it actually loosens it up and makes it easier to release. So it looks like you're already kind of on your journey to achieving what you want, but let's see what else we can tell you. Okay. Well, it looks like the next thing that's coming up has to do with some belief systems about what you deserve. And it looks like you're starting to look at breaking down some limiting belief systems that say, I don't know, you deserve to take in you deserve what you get. You deserve what's doled out to you. You've got, you've got no choice. This is what you deserve because this is what you're worth, kind of thing. So let's see. We'll give you some information about deprogramming beliefs. So I teach people tools to do this, and they're visualization tools. In the context of giving you some information on this show, there's one tool that I've taught quite a lot. And so if you were to go to drlesliephillips.com and search the podcasts for something on grounding, there's an episode on grounding. And learn that technique, because what you can do is you can use that technique to help you deprogram beliefs. Because you can, basically what you're doing is you're visualizing a flow of energy from near the base of your spine to the center of the earth. And you can literally throw anything at all down that energy flow, and you're releasing it from your energy field when you're doing that. So you can release beliefs about being unworthy and deserving to be poisoned down your grounding. And you can have the intentional concept that whatever it is that's anchoring this habit of smoking is being released down your grounding. And you can also have the concept that I am bringing everything into present time and releasing the past time energy, especially from the parent figure who treated me unkindly and contributed to the belief that I have no choice but to take a poison as it's doled out to me from other people. So that's what I would suggest. But like I said, it looks like you're making progress, and sometimes these things, there's a few layers. It's like, peeling back the layers of the onion. And so right now what's up is belief systems around what you deserve. And self-worth and worthiness. And you might work on that, and then something else might come up or not. But it does look like you have a strong intention to stop smoking, and you're working on it. Okay. Great.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, Teresa. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. And Sorry, Corey. The speaker is on. I don't know what that means. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to now go back to the question about from Lana that we were going to look at before Teresa called up. So here we go. I'm just going to check in with Lana. And if you remember everybody, she had a question about her bipolar friend and wanting to help him on his journey. And will he ever be able to receive help? Okay, so I'm just taking a look. So, this person's energy does look interesting. And one thing I would say is, even though the medical profession puts the label bipolar on lots of people, energetically it's not all the same thing that's going on. So I'm just looking at this particular man, and I'm seeing that he's got some issues with, he's not very grounded. He's got some blocks to being able to be grounded. He's not always in his body. And so sometimes the differences in personality are, sometimes it's him and sometimes it isn't him. And so, if he was open to meditation, you could introduce him to that same podcast that, I explained to Teresa on grounding. And, it looks like he's really learning about being in a body and having a body. It looks like he's, not someone who's got a really long timeline of having bodies on this planet. One might say he's not an old soul. And it's just part of his path to learn about, how to consciously be in a body. And it looks like a lot of the time he's not conscious. So, I can't really predict for you, but he's on a journey to learn about it. I can't really predict will he ever accept help, but I've given you one suggestion that you could try with him. So I'll leave that one there. And do we have another?
Yes, we do. Good day. This is from Fran. And it's good day. I'd like to know if I would ever have children. I'd like to know if I would ever have children. I have married now with no children. I'm going to go to a different question. I'll have to reread that one. Okay, comments. This is from Annie. And Annie says, "Hi, Dr. Leslie. I think you once said that when we dream, we enter other dimensions. Could you please elaborate on that? Lately, when I return from work, I fall asleep, and some days, that's all I do. I go to work and sleep all day. The thing is, I know this behavior sometimes is related to depression, so I feel like I'm not being productive, but truth is, I love to sleep and dream. I feel like there is something to be discovered in dreams. Is my depression talking, or is this have to do with other dimensions? Thanks so much for your answer and your show."
All right. Okay. Well,
question.
That is a great question, and I'm going to take a look specifically with you and then give you some general information as well. So it looks like you're actually being quite active and productive when you're asleep, and that a lot of what you're doing is actually healing work, which you're actually then bringing into your body and translating into your body. And I would say, as we go through life, we go through many cycles of growth and change. And as we make changes as spirit, then the body has a reaction to that. And it looks like at the moment your body needs a lot of sleep. And it needs a lot of sleep because of the healing that is happening. And the healing that's happening is connected with the depression because it's connected with working through some of the stuff from the past that's caused the depression. And it looks like you're not working through it consciously in your waking life. You're actually choosing to do that healing work while you're asleep on the astral plane, and then bring in what's relevant into the body and let it then translate into the body. And the body's just needing lots of sleep to cope with the changes that you're making. So that's what I'm seeing specifically is happening to you. And the other part of the question about traveling to other dimensions, you are spirit, you are not your body. There is a greater aspect to you than the waking consciousness or the body personality. And when you are asleep, you merge into that higher dimensionality, into that greater, connect with that greater part of you. And, there are different levels of consciousness from you, the body personality, all the way up to source energy, through the different levels of your soul and your oversoul. Well, one of the layers of reality, for want of a better word, that's closely associated with the earth plane is the astral plane. You have another body called the astral body. You have experiences in the astral plane. And one of the differences between the earth plane and the astral plane is there's no time and space in the astral plane, whereas there's time and space here. So if you've got a big healing project like you're focused on, it just can help you expand how much healing you can do by doing it outside of the body in that timeless realm and then bringing it back. I do have to go to a break now, Annie, but thank you for your question. We'll be back shortly. Hello everyone, welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie. We've been having a great show talking about time. And now we're answering your questions on 604-504-7441 extension 4142. 604-504-7441 extension 4142. And we do have lots of email questions. So what's the next one?
So let's go back to that question from Franny now I've deciphered it.
All right, yeah.
Good day. I'd like to know if I will ever have children. I am married now with no children. I don't know what I seem to be doing wrong. What's my real life purpose? Thanks.
Okay. Let's take a look. Interesting. Don't know that you're doing anything wrong, Franny, but let's take a look. Is it Franny or Fran?
Fran.
So, if I had you on the other end of the line, I'd ask you some questions, which would be just about, from a medical perspective, have you been to your doctor about wanting to conceive? And have they taken a look at how everything is working on a physical level? I would definitely do that if you haven't done that already. I'm not saying that you're doing anything wrong, but I am seeing that there is, energetically at least, it looks like there might be something that's not sort of functioning there. So I'm seeing some pastime energy, and I'm seeing in this case, I'd just say go to the medical doctor and have a really thorough checkup of your reproductive system. And then on the other question about life purpose, let's take a look. Well, one thing that comes up is self-acceptance and not attaching your self-worth, not needing to attach your self-worth to anything. So it's like if you weren't a mother, you wouldn't be a failure. So, sometimes we tend to think of the idea of life purpose as, something that you're here to give and a way in which you're here to be of service. But oftentimes a life purpose, it really just relates to expanding the consciousness. And whenever you expand your consciousness, you expand the consciousness of all of humanity and all of creation, actually, because we are all one. And so it looks like one of the things that you're really wanting to work on this lifetime is self-validation and self-love and letting go of judgment and expectations of how you should be. And I'm seeing that is your purpose right now, is cultivating self-acceptance. Regardless of whether you have children or not. So I'll leave that one there and see what the next one is.
Okay, the next question is from Izzy. And I'm taking it that Izzy's a girl.
Okay.
A female of the gender. And she says, hello, I'm reaching out because I feel stuck and I'm not sure why or what to do. Can you please tell me what I need to do or know right now to help me move forward? Thank you.
Alrighty, let's take a look at Izzy and see what's going on with her. Oh, I see what you mean. I wouldn't say it's complete stuckness, but I do see that there is a block. So let me just see what that block has to do with. It looks like one of the foundational beliefs that's causing the block is I don't belong here. I don't belong here. And feeling different. Feeling different and therefore disconnected. And I'm seeing if you can let go of the belief that you don't belong here, because you do belong here. You wouldn't be here if you didn't belong here. And yes, you are different. And guess what? So is every single human being. We're all unique. Some, meld together, I guess, so they feel like they belong, but ultimately we're all unique. And you're meant to be unique, and your uniqueness is your gift to the world. And so, but it looks like by believing you don't belong and by believing that you're different, you're separating yourself and you're preventing the stepping into the wholeness of who you are. And where I see that block, I sound like I repeat myself over and over again, is I'm seeing what it's doing is it's stopping you being grounded and fully present. And so, the block's being caused by the belief I don't belong here. So, release the belief. If you don't have any other ways of doing it, listen to the podcast on grounding and really sit down your grounding. Get yourself grounded. Get yourself present. Get yourself here. Anchor your energy here. And things will shift for you. So that's what I'm seeing. The belief that's causing the problem is I don't belong here. What's the next one?
The next question is from Ronnie. Ronnie wants to know, which path am I taking?
The left or the right? Okay. Let's take a look, Ronnie. Which path are you taking? Well, of course, you're taking your path. Let's see I don't, whether that question has arisen because you're asking, am I taking the wrong path? Or if you have some choices and you're trying to decide which choice to take. Or whether there's a concept that you should be taking a different path than you are. But you're taking the path that you are taking. And if you're taking it, it's the right path for you. And it looks like that you're looking at something else, questioning whether that should be what you're doing. And I'm seeing that that's somebody else's information about what you should be doing. It's not yours, but that person's in your space, and it makes you question yourself And so I would say, which path are you taking? It looks like you're taking the right path for you. And the uncertainty is down to someone else who would rather you do something different than you are. That's what I'm seeing. Next question.
That was an interesting question.
Yeah.
And this is from Lenore. Lenore wants to know, what is my problem with my stomach? It is a chronic issue and all tests come back normal. First of all, what is my problem? It's not your problem, it's a problem.
Alrighty, let's take a look at this lady. I think we're gonna break this down on a few different levels. We're gonna look physical, emotional, maybe even mental as well.
We have 3 minutes to do it.
Yeah, well, 1 minute each then. So let's just take a look at the issue with your stomach. I'm seeing that there definitely is an issue on an energetic level. There's definitely something going on. Let's just see. I'm going to just start by giving you a bit of a healing. And unfortunately, if the 3 minute runs out, then I'll have to stop. So let's just start there. And it might help me see what's going on. So, it looks as though the digestive organs are not working in sync with one another. It looks as though there's something going on with the digestive enzymes, and that it's almost like it's supposed to do a nice choreographed dance, you know. So depending on the food in the stomach, different enzymes and chemicals are released, and you know, the gallbladder and the liver and the pancreas, and they all do this. Supposed to do this nice dance, and what it looks like is that they're out of time with each other. So it's got something to do with the synchronization between the organs and what the organ and how they're meant to work with each other. And if we look at what's underlying the physical issue, I can't get it right. Is the belief I can't get it right? It comes from school. And it comes from a time when you were at school, where you were struggling at school, and it looks like there was a really strict teacher who berated you for getting it wrong all the time, and it anchored the belief, I can't get it right. You couldn't digest and understand the schoolwork that you were being given, and it looks as though it was extremely stressful for you, that either you didn't fully explain to your parents, or they didn't see it as big of an issue as it was, and you kind of swallowed it all and took it all on, and it was all just really, really stressful. And it's like you were listening to the adults and trying to do what they said. Looks like they were in your space a little bit to sort of try and get you to get it right. And that's the anchor point. So again, for you, listen to that podcast on grounding and release the belief, I can't do it, and release the school situation. So we'll see you next week, folks.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Leslie Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. Come back again.